So today is September 23rd, 2013. It's probably about 2:35 in the afternoon, and I'm sitting here thinking about a message that was given at one of my close friends' mother's service this past weekend. And the topic of discussion was, are you ready for your appointment with death, or your appointment with death? And I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm looking at these beautiful trees and the sky and the clouds, and I'm sitting here waiting on a friend to show up, and I can't help but think, am I ready for my appointment? And when I say my appointment with death, of course, we're all going to die one day. We're all iPad out of the case, so you can hear. If you couldn't hear before, I apologize. But the topic of discussion is an appointment with death. Now, in no way, shape, or form do I want to die, like right now or today. But it's inevitable that we all will, at some point in time, be deceased. Every person that has ever lived on this earth, or ever will live on this earth, has to die. Now, the sermon was your appointment. As a businesswoman, I make appointments all the time, and I am very anal about my appointments, and I do my best to keep my appointments, show up to my appointments, and be prepared for my appointments. And it's just, this whole experience has me thinking about my appointment with death. And as a funeral director, I think sometimes we become immune to the fact that death is a reality, when in fact we should, especially as funeral service professionals, be more in tune with that. And I feel that every person has the potential to help someone. This is my way of helping. And in order to help you, I have to face my fears. And I'd be a liar if I say that death doesn't scare me. The death of a loved one, the death of somebody I care about, the death of a friend, the death of myself. Thinking about those things are scary. Nobody wants to think about that, but you have to. And I'm not trying to push religion or my beliefs on anyone, but I believe that this is not the end. If anything, this is the beginning of a life that I don't even know exists yet. I believe that God has good things in store for me. I believe that eventually, my business is going to take off, and I'm going to enjoy those things, and I'm going to have, some material wealth, and I'm going to enjoy it. But at the end of the day, it's not my job to worry about those things. But what it is my job to worry about is where my soul and my spirit is going to spend eternity. And in order to prepare for your appointment with death, I think that you have to give those things some consideration. There's nothing more important, at least in my opinion, on this earth than being prepared for that. And the fact that a lot of people my age, I'm 27 years old, we think we're going to live forever when that's not the case. Now, I hope that everyone is blessed with long life, because God does promise long life. But at the end of the day, you don't know when your time is going to come. You don't know what your last breath or your last words will be. I'm sitting outside. Anything could happen. By the grace of God, it's not. And by faith, I'm believing that I'm going to have a long life. But it's like you can't lose touch with the fact that we're not here to stay. And it's my job to console and give comfort in a time when that's essential. But the most comfort that I think I could offer any of my loved ones in the event of my demise is for them to know that I've made peace and that I'm ready for my appointment. So take into consideration, are you ready for your appointment with death? Here's another point that I want to make. I'm going to try to turn the camera without causing too much background noise, but I want everybody to look at these trees and look at the sky and just look at this. Now, it is the beginning. It's officially autumn now, and these trees are shedding. I don't know if you can see the leaves on the ground, but for each one of those leaves on the ground, I want you to think of that as someone's life. Okay. Now, that tree itself has to have been there for a very long time, because it's tall, it's big, and I mean, it's not one of the biggest trees I've ever seen, but still, it's there, and it has leaves on it, right? So, am I falling out or distraught because that leaf has hit the ground? I'm not. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm not falling out and I'm not having a fit because those leaves have hit the ground, because I know in order for that tree to grow and for that tree to continue to prosper and for that tree to continue to give me shade and oxygen that I want to breathe, that tree has to shed. That tree has to let go. That tree has to let those leaves die and fall off. But guess what? Those leaves are going to return bigger and better and more efficient next spring. It's a change of season. We don't cry when summer or when winter ends and summer begins, because it's natural. It's a season. It's changing. Now, there's no comparison that I can make to really capture what it's like to lose a loved one, but we have to understand that this is life. And in order to appreciate life, we have to respect and appreciate death. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about the end of your physical life or the beginning of a spiritual life. I'm talking about the end of a relationship, the end of a job, the end of a marriage. Sometimes, as much as it hurts, it's as essential to experience those things in order to grow and become better. We each are faced with situations and circumstances on a daily basis, but in order to truly appreciate the joys that we experience in life, we have to understand, respect, and almost embrace and expect the difficult changes. Now, I almost hate that I use the example of someone's life at the beginning of this, but I just want you to take this into mind and try to grasp it. If a tree that has been there, I don't know, let's give it 75 years. I'm not even going to say 75, 20 years. If a tree that's been there for 20 years can constantly renew and constantly release, then as a person with the capability to speak and to embrace others and to heal and to worship, if a tree can do that, how much more blessed are we?